Well, guys, something I want to know. Before entering office, the President has to take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And what I'm going to show you is all this stuff that's been going on since that Parkland shooting down there. And I want to know is at what point does the President declare all these actions down there and all that's going around a clear and present danger to the Republic of the United States. It is a republic. It is a republic. We have all these things going on. And what the President should have done at the beginning, and with everything else that goes on in this country, every time they have a false flag event, and the people know it and they can sense a damn rat, they need to send the Department of Justice down there with investigators. You don't rely on the FBI or anything else because they could have been part of the damn thing to begin with. You send people down there and you dig out, you get all the information, you take it home and you look at it. That's what you do, you look at it. False flags, people. False flag, originally referred to a pirate ship that flew flags of the same ships they were approaching to attack. The deception creates the appearance of a particular party, group, or nation being responsible for some of the activity, disguising the real, actual source of the attack and responsibility. A false flag is a real attack, people are killed or injured, and the true reason is hidden. You look at Sandy Hook, look out there in Vegas, look down there in Parkland schools. There's a whole lot to go over today, so I'm going to have to kind of hurry, so kind of stay with me. We live in strange times. Politicians are using children to lobby the government to take away rights from their parents, while the politicians walk around protected by the same guns, and men are using firearms they are asking the children to lobby to have taken away. Same people who want your guns are the same ones that took God and prayer out of the schools. Now this is just part of the problem here. We got all this rhetoric, all this stuff going on. Now you know they got all these kids. They got these kids trying to get. You got kids trying to pass laws. Okay. Then just a second here. Just a second. Right here. You got banks trying to make laws. Banks are willing to create a way to enforce gun control even if the government doesn't make a single change. It's that kind of stuff that's going on. You want to raise the age of guns to buy a firearm? That's totally bullshit. Students heard police firing banks before the shooting. And you got the teachers getting involved in this. They support students' walkout, even while they're missing educational time. Kids planning on things, going out for 2 days protesting. You got people donating money to the protest. Got another nitwit here wanting to tax guns 50% or 50% on ammo, 20% on the federal tax on guns. You got schools sending kids to busing them. They can't even afford to keep the heat on. You got the Florida prosecutors down there seeking the death penalty for your accused Parkland gunman. Well, if he was as mentally deranged as you people say he is, he's going to get off anyway. If you really want to look deep into things, look at what the media found when they dug around the Douglas high school shooting, because these people were using data so they could defraud the government of money. You got senators trying to pass gun laws. Two Ohio senators proposed statewide ban on assault weapons. Then on the other hand, you got a church that says, bring your rifles here and we'll give them a good blessing. Parents think that the decision to allow students walkout breaks laws. They put 7,000 pairs of shoes on the U.S. Capitol lawn. Just another distraction. Principal removed student from class because he carried a sign that says, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Them survivors down here say, oh, they're being hijacked by left-wing groups, and you better believe they are. George Soros and all those people? Come on, wake up, people. We're not stupid. Good Lord. Nope. It's like this. When all the guns have been banned, when all the words have been censored, when all the history has been erased, when all the freedom has been taken, only then will you discover why the right to keep and bear arms is so high on the list. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And right here, this is back in the Clinton era. This is when this stuff really started ramping up. Yeah, the former Attorney General, waiting periods are only a step. Registration is only a step. The prohibition of private firearms is our goal. When 1791, the Second Amendment was written, every gun was military style. If you're suggesting sending men with weapons of war to take my weapons of war, then I'm fairly certain that that's what is called an act of war, in the definition of tyranny, which coincidentally is the reason for the Second Amendment in the first place. Have you ever noticed that no matter how many people get shot in Chicago, we never hear what kind of gun was used? Wow, teachers put on leave for questioning walkouts. Last time I checked, a difference of opinion was permitted in this country. Folks, this is a wake-up call. Communist Democrats are blocking our First Amendment and our Second Amendment rights. Our founding fathers were not career politicians, they were outlaws, the angry extremists who refused to quietly submit to an elite political establishment oppressive rules over their lives. Never forget that. There's a government repair kit. Something else that was going on. How many students would have protested gun violence if the protests were held after school hours? There's another one. Dianne Feinstein. Yep. All vets are mentally ill in some way, and the government should prevent them from owning firearms. That's the kind of stuff that's going on in this country. The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent people of the United States who are peaceful citizens from keeping and bearing arms. What's wrong with all these anti-gunner politicians who are surrounded by armed details? They're working for very special interest groups rather than upholding the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution, which they swore an oath to uphold, instead they are using this tactic of necessity based on some tragedy, massacre, and in other cases induced false flags. Americans must come to terms with corrupt politicians who are not the type that you can help or rehabilitate. These are the type that must be lawfully removed, or you will lose your God-given rights. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. To disarm people is the most effective way to enslave them. Now, there's an awful lot going on, and our president, who took an oath to uphold and defend our Constitution in the United States, needs to get his butt in gear. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any statute to be valid must be in agreement. It is impossible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. All laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. Madison versus Marbury. Where rights are secured by the Constitution, There can be no rule or making of legislation which would arbitrate them. An unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no rights, it imposes no duties, affords no protection, it creates no office. It is in legal contemplation as inoperable as it had never passed. If you look at your gun laws that these idiots have passed, they are null and void. You know, right now you've got all these people running around with this domestic violence case. They said that this law goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. Well, that's ex post facto. You cannot pass an ex post facto law, nor can you put anything into a law that you've written and say the ex post facto doesn't apply, because any law that is written with the Constitution is null and void. Everything in there is ex post facto, whether they believe it or not. You can't change a law and then lump all these other people into it and expect it to have the same effect as a law. It's null and void. It's trash. It's trash. But we've got to get back to the Constitution, people. And the general rule is an unconstitutional statute, although having the form and name of law, is in reality no law. But it is wholly void and ineffective for any purpose, since unconstitutional dates from the time of its enactment, and not merely from the date of the decision of branding it. No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce it. Remember this stuff, people. You know, like I said, right off the bat, since we've got all these false flags going on, the President should automatically send the Department of Justice down there, gather up every piece of evidence that they can, bring home, go through it, then make an intelligent decision. Not this stuff of, oh, we got to do something. You know, inaction's is not a, we can't do with no inaction. We've got to act. No, whenever they say necessity or something they have to justify, that's the words of a tyrant. Thanks for watching.